South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both governments.
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payment.
In a community where political scandals dominate headlines, Dolton's self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard finds herself at the center of yet another storm, leaving locals and critics alike stunned. Henyard, who serves not only as the mayor of Dolton, but also as the supervisor of Thornton Township, is embroiled in a slew of controversies ranging from excessive spending to questionable dealings with law enforcement. With new accusations surfacing almost daily, it appears that her tumultuous political career has reached yet another critical and perplexing juncture. Observers are left asking whether Henyard's behavior reflects a complete loss of control or if it is part of a more calculated, deliberate strategy. The latest twist involves her teasing a dramatic announcement that she claims will lead to the arrest and prosecution of several of her political opponents. This tantalizing declaration only adds to the already charged atmosphere surrounding her governance, with critics questioning whether it's an actual move to clean house or a diversionary tactic aimed at deflecting attention from her mounting troubles. Ironically, despite earning a six-figure income from her dual roles, reports indicate Henyard makes more than $280,000 annually. She is embroiled in a legal battle over her inability to pay rent. Henyard has not paid rent since August, leading to an eviction case filed against her by her former supporter and landlord Jenna Toll. According to Toll, who once counted herself among Henyard's backers, the mater has repeatedly failed to make any payments, forcing the landlady to escalate her efforts to deliver an eviction notice. This revelation raises troubling questions about Henyard's management of her personal affairs, given that she is also responsible for overseeing millions of dollars in public funds. How can a public official entrusted with managing taxpayer dollars fail to meet her own financial obligations? Particularly rent residents are rightly alarmed that someone facing eviction is simultaneously in charge of crucial township operations. The implications of this scenario go beyond mere optics, plunging the community into deeper disillusionment. This latest scandal is yet another indication of what many describe as a dysfunctional and erratic administration, where financial responsibility and ethical accountability have seemingly taken a backseat to self-serving behavior. The fact that Henyard has consistently evaded her financial responsibilities to a personal landlord while championing herself as a leader capable of handling public money responsibly has only added to the already boiling frustrations of her constituents. They see this as a stark contradiction, and one more example of the disconnect between her public persona and private reality. It's not just Henyard's rent issues drawing fire over the course of her tenure. She has faced allegations of extravagant spending using public money, including luxury travel, costly inaugural events, and hosting high-end parties, one of which featured celebrity performers yet barely drew any attendees, leaving taxpayers footing a significant bill. Each of these events has added fuel to the fire of public outrage, painting Henyard as a leader more concerned with self-promotion than the real needs of Dolton residents. The fallout from her spending, combined with controversy surrounding unfulfilled promises and allegations of mismanagement, continues to widen the gap between her administration and the community's trust. As if these financial and ethical issues weren't enough, Henyard's relationship with her political rivals and constituents has only deteriorated further. Public meetings, often descending into heated arguments and personal attacks, serve as microcosms of the broader dysfunction that characterizes her leadership style. In one such meeting, Henyard's critics lambasted her for using taxpayer money to bankroll a lavish lifestyle, while basic public services, including transportation and infrastructure, continue to claims of being targeted as a strong, independent female leader. Others argue that this defense rings hollow in light of mounting evidence of fiscal and administrative negligence, including the financial instability that now plagues Dolton and Thornton Township. For Henyard's landlord Jenna Toll, the frustration is deeply personal.
Landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid.
Paul's account of the experience paints a vivid and troubling picture of frustration and betrayal, as she describes encountering an impenetrable barrier in her efforts to collect. Paul's recounting of events underscores not just a personal struggle that raises broader questions about the values and ethics expected of those in positions of power. Her portrayal of the ordeal offers a cautionary tale about the importance of holding even the most trusted figures accountable and highlights the emotional and moral toll of feeling betrayed by someone with such significant public influence.
I'm at wit's end, and I fear that I'm going to go into foreclosure soon.
The unpaid rent scandal involving Henyard is merely the tip of the iceberg, as her 10E mayor has been mirrored by allegations of extravagant spending that have left residents frustrated and deeply concerned. While the town of Dalton grapples with a ballooning budget deficit, Henyard appears to have indulged in a lifestyle that many view as completely at odds with the financial reality facing the community. Reports indicate that this year alone, thousands of taxpayer dollars have been spent on luxurious accommodations, including stays at the prestigious Four Seasons in Atlanta and the Marriott Marquez in New York City. These indulgences are not isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of spending that has allegedly drained millions from the town's general fund, leaving it teetering on the brink of financial instability and jeopardizing essential services. Among the more jaw-dropping revelations is the claim that over a few months, Dolphin's public funds covered an estimated $223,000 in restaurant bills, underscoring Henyard's penchant for lavish dining. Sources claimed these expenses were justified as efforts to attract investors to the town. However, critics strongly refute this narrative, citing Dalton's visible and pressing issues, such as deteriorating infrastructure, broken water mains, and unresolved safety concerns. While Henyard's administration has painted these excursions as necessary to support Dalton's economic growth, the lack of tangible outcomes has deepened skepticism among residents who are left questioning where the supposed investments have materialized. The contrast between the mayor's claims and the town's worsening financial and structural state has been described as a betrayal by those who entrusted her with their vote, only to witness priorities that appear misaligned with the needs of the community. This pattern of extravagant spending, critics argue, reveals a level of detachment from the struggles of ordinary residents, particularly in light of Dolan's deteriorating public resources and unresolved issues that directly affect its citizens' quality of life. The mayor's repeated use of public funds for luxury travel, fine dining, and high-end accommodations has provoked widespread outrage among Dalton residents, who feel that these actions demonstrate a growing disconnect and disregard for the trust placed in her leadership. Many view these actions as emblematic of a larger failure to address the real issues facing the town, such as its crumbling infrastructure and mounting fiscal problems, which demand urgent attention rather than indulgence. The image of a mayor flying first class and staying in five-star hotels while critical town services remain underfunded feels to residents like a stark affront to their struggles and sacrifices. The frustration is compounded by the lack of transparent communication from Henyard's administration, leaving many wondering why such expenditures were deemed necessary in the first place, and whether any of them have produced measurable benefits for Dalton. Detractors argue that these patterns of spending have done more to erode trust and fuel resentment than to advance the town's development or financial well-being. For a community dealing with tangible everyday challenges, Henyard's actions strike many as not just financially irresponsible, but ethically questionable, leaving them to wonder how their tax dollars could have been allowed to bankroll what feels like a lavish lifestyle rather than benefit the public good. This growing discontent has become a defining narrative of Henyard's leadership, casting a shadow over her administration and calling into question the integrity of her commitments to Dalton's welfare.
It appears that they're going to try to have a meeting upstairs.
The way Henyard allegedly abuses her position of power to suppress dissent has become a major cause for concern among Dalton's residents, raising serious questions about her leadership and governance. Described as a super mayor, Henyard reportedly sets the rules and controls the narrative, consolidating power in ways that seem increasingly authoritarian. One of the most disturbing accusations is that she has hired local police officers as her personal security force, tasking them with monitoring anyone who dares to challenge her authority. This chilling tactic of using law enforcement to stifle opposition raises fears of a police state within the small town, where residents are subjected to surveillance and intimidation for expressing dissent. Local business owners, in particular, have been targeted, with some claiming that they've been coerced into making political contributions to Henyard's campaign, facing harassment and inspections if they fail to comply. Lawrence Gardner, a business owner in the area, shared his story of being pressured into donating to Henyard's campaign fund only to face retaliation in the form of harassment when he declined. According according to Gardner, refusing Henyard's demands was tantamount to inviting trouble, illustrating a pervasive culture of fear that has taken hold in Dalton. It's not just business owners who are affected. Many residents speak of the risk of retaliation, including threats of arrest for those who speak out against the mayor's authority. This environment of intimidation has created a palpable sense of unease, with numerous community members describing Dalton as a place where disagreement with the mayor can have dire consequences. In response to this climate of fear, residents have begun turning to social media as a platform to voice their growing dissatisfaction with Henyard actions. Public posts have highlighted widespread frustration with her alleged abuses of power, with some users boldly calling for her arrest. One such comment bluntly demands, "Where's the FBI? Henyard needs to be arrested, and the cleanup of this mess must begin immediately." Another illy critical post accuses Henyard of misconduct, asserting she doesn't live there, that house is for show, her mansion is probably in another state. Tiffany's stolen too much money. She is up to something. These remarks reflect the increasing sense of abandonment felt by Dalton's resident, who believe their mayor is far more interested in enriching herself than in improving their lives. In fact, some residents fear that their financial hardships will soon lead to foreclosure, further alienating them from a leadership they perceive to be disengaged from their real needs. Meanwhile, it appears that Hen's extravagant personal lifestyle and the growing scandals surrounding it have not gone unnoticed at the federal level. According to reports, the FBI has launched an investigation into her administration, specifically focusing on her use of public funds. While the exact nature of the investigation remains unclear, insiders suggest that it revolves around her lavish spending, which stands in stark contrast to the severe financial strain the town is enduring. If the rumors are true, Henyard's unchecked lifestyle might soon unravel with potential criminal consequences. However, it's not only her personal expenditures that are under scrutiny. There are also rumors swirling about Hen's awarding of large contracts to campaign donors and close allies, which critics argue are part of a broader scheme to strengthen her own political power by consolidating loyalty through taxpayer-funded deals. Some sources claim that these contracts are part of a strategic effort to secure loyalty and further entrench Henyard's hold on power at the expense of the public trust. For many Dalton residents, these developments confirm their growing suspicion that Henyard's administration functions more like an exclusive club where access to opportunities, funding, and power is reserved for those with the right connections. This pattern of favoritism and cronyism has further eroded public trust in the mayor, with an increasing number of residents calling for a formal investigation into how contracts are awarded within the town. They contend that Henyard's conduct reflects a broader systemic problem where only those aligned with her or willing to support her political ambitions are given any opportunity to thrive. The mounting evidence of corruption and self-interest has left Dalton's inhabitants feeling increasingly disillusioned with their leadership and more determined than ever to demand accountability. As the situation continues to unfold, the public's frustration is turning into outrage, and the calls for an official inquiry into Henyard's actions are growing louder.
And we're getting tired of coming here not having the laws followed.
If the scandals surrounding Henyard weren't enough to spark public out, her actions have now begun to fracture her own camp, further exacerbating her already tenuous position. The most recent development, a lawsuit that is still pending, has reportedly caused a significant rift between Henyard and Trust Stan Brown, a key ally who claims that his name was added to the lawsuit without his consent. Sources close to Brown indicate that he was taken aback upon discovering he was listed as part of the legal action and immediately sought to distance himself from the case, further widening the growing divide between him and Henyard. Brown's public comments disavowing any involvement have only served to isolate Henyard more, and as her once solid base of support begins to shrink, it is clear that Henyard is struggling to maintain control over her political future. Once known for commanding loyalty, Henyard now finds herself increasingly abandoned by former allies, with many questioning her ability to lead effectively. The growing sense of disenchantment with her leadership has left Henyard vulnerable to criticism, with many accusing her of neglecting her responsibilities and failing to address the town's dire needs. In a climate of mounting dissatisfaction, opposition to Henyard has ballooned to the point where residents are publicly accusing her of prioritizing fame and celebrity over the duties of governing, likening her to a reality TV star more concerned with her public image than with actual public service. Her frequent attendance at high-profile events, accompanied by a full enter including security personnel and photographers, has become a source of frustration for many. This extravagant display of power and status was most apparent at a recent Valentine's Day ice rink party where Henyard arrived with her deputy police chief serving as her personal bodyguard, creating a surreal and uncomfortable scene for the residents simply hoping to enjoy a fun family outing. For many, this spectacle serves as a stark contrast to Dalton's ever-growing financial difficulties, furthering the sense that Hen's focus is on cultivating her own image rather than addressing the issues that matter most to the community. This emphasis on style over substance is creating a sense of alienation among residents who feel increasingly frustrated by what they perceive as an administration fixated on appearances rather than on practical solutions to their daily struggles. As criticisms of Henyard leadership intensify, her responses to the mounting pressure have been dismissive and defiant, often seeking to deflect blame onto others rather than addressing the concerns at hand. In recent public meetings, Henyard has aggressively attacked her critics, accusing them of jealousy and envy over her supposed success. In one particularly heated exchange, she reminded the town's trustees that she is the leader and demanded their loyalty, accusing them of doing nothing but running their mouths despite her forceful rhetoric. Many in Dalton view her deflections as insufficient and convincing as she continues to fail to offer tangible solutions to the problems the town is facing. With every new controversy that erupts, Henyard's credibility and authority as a leader are increasingly called into question. Her refusal to acknowledge the growing opposition and her inability to address the concerns of the residents only serve to reinforce the perception that she is out of touch with the needs of the community. For the people of Dalton, Hen's leadership has become a source of frustration, and they are left wondering how long they will have to endure the endless controversies and scandals that seem to follow her wherever she goes. As the town's financial situation worsens and the challenges mount, the promise of real change remains elusive, and the once promising future under Henyard's leadership now seems a distant and fading hope. Each new misstep and scandal contributes to the widening gap between Henyard and the people she was elected to serve, leaving residents feeling abandoned and desperate for leadership that prioritizes their well-being over personal ambition.
Times to serve them for a household that makes, over $350,000.
While Henyard remains confident that the people of Dalton will support her re-election, the opposition is just as determined to usher in change, and her recent declaration that she intends to run again has only escalated the political drama in the town. Jason House, a prominent critic of Henyard, has formally announced his candidacy for mayor, promising a new direction for his platform centers on restoring order, decency, and integrity to a government he believes has been severely tarnished under Henyard leadership. Alongside him, a group of like-minded contenders has emerged, calling themselves the Clean House Slate. Their primary objective is to address the corruption they claim has infected Dalton's government and has long gone unchallenged, with the community now faced with a stark choice between the promise of a fresh start under House's leadership and Hen's embattled controversial reign. The upcoming election is set to be a bitter battle for the future of Dalton. Henyard, who has long prided herself on her political savvy, seems unfazed by the mounting challenges she faces despite the very real prospect of eviction from her property, escalating legal battles, and growing scrutiny from federal authorities. She continues to double down on her narrative, seemingly oblivious to the widening gulf between herself and the disillusioned public. To many observers, it is perplexing how, in the face of such clear turmoil, Henyard appears convinced that her established connections, loyal supporters, and personal network will carry her through. Perhaps she clings to the belief that those around her will continue to stand by her, no matter the evidence of corruption and mismanagement that has increasingly surfaced. Alternatively, she may simply be so wrapped up in her own version of events that she's blind to the growing discontent around her. Nonetheless, her determination to press forward is clear as she faces a world whirlwind of scandals that shows no signs of abating. Whether or not Henyard's established power can withstand the storm of controversy will be determined at the polls, but there's a palpable sense that her time in office is running out. The coming election promises to be an all-out political confrontation, with both sides presenting compelling arguments for why they should govern Dawson moving forward. House and his team offer a clear contrast to Henyard's leadership style, rallying those tired of the controversies and scandals that have defined her time in office, while Hen's camp insists on the unshakable loyalty of her supporters and the narrative of progress and success. She believes she has achieved. The question at the heart of this political struggle is whether Henyard can actually maintain her grip on power, or whether the cumulative weight of her misdeeds will lead to her inevitable downfall. With each passing day, her ability to continue governing without the public's trust grows more uncertain, and many in TAN are asking themselves how much longer they can allow this saga to drag on before significant change becomes a necessity. It's not just about whether Henyard can hold on to her position, it's also about what her continued leadership or failure to lead means for the future of Dalton. As these scandals unfold and tensions between Henyard and her opponents reach a boiling point, the fallout from this political drama will likely shape the course of Dalton's future. The one thriving town now finds itself at a crossroads where the path forward hinges on whether voters will rally behind Henyard's embattled leadership or embrace a new era of accountability under House and the clean house slate. No matter which way the election goes, the future of Dalton will be irrevocably shaped by the results, and the impact of these ongoing controversies will likely be felt for years to come as Henyard faces an ongoing federal investigation and mounting pressure from every side. Residents of Dalton are left wondering whether their long-standing mayor can continue to hold her office, or whether the rising tide of scandal will eventually sweep her away. With so much at stake, the outcome of the election will determine not just who governs the town, but whether Dalton will be able to heal and move past the legacy of corruption and dysfunction that has defined its recent history. The question on everyone's minds is whether Henyard's grip on power is as firm as she believes, or whether these scandals will finally bring about the end of her tumultuous tenure. If Henyard is indeed defeated, what will this mean for Dalton's future? Will the town finally be able to recover, or will its scars from the past years linger on? The conversation continues to unfold, and as we await the next developments, please remember to leave a comment below with your thoughts on these issues. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching CLEBSTR.